Hey guys, it's ANicWin, also known as Amy, and happy Monday. I hope you're having a lovely day. I just need you to know for my sanity, this is like the third time I'm recording this because my mic, which is not a cheap mic, it's not super expensive either, but like it's a good quality, it keeps making the popping noise. I've changed nothing. It's the same distance away from me it typically is. I'm not shouting, I'm not whispering, although I've been whispering lately. I don't know what's up with that. And it just keeps making that pop sound, and it's kind of driving me nuts. So if there are pop noises in this recording, I think we're all just gonna have to deal with it, because if I record this one more time, I just might scrap the whole build. That's dramatic. I actually really like this build, but oh, technology is not my friend today. Anywho, hopefully you guys are doing okay. Hopefully 2022 has been treating you fine thus far. There's some up and down moments in my life, some really good things paired with some not so fun things, but I mean, that's just like the way of life, I suppose. Today, I've decided to renovate the Foxbury dorms. I've never done this. I've never built in the dorms. I don't ever really play in them either, because the random roommate thing kind of drives me nuts. You have to give them all a makeover. If you don't, you're just stuck with like some really wild looking characters that you'd really never see in a dorm. And I mean, this is just my opinion, but yeah, it doesn't spark joy for me. So I typically, when I play with university, I don't live in the dorms. If I do, it's like one of their like quote unquote semesters, and then I'm out of there. But I decided to do both, and I did that because they're identical. I didn't change them up. I realized that these two, and I'm sure the ones in Britechester are the same, but it's like an apartment renovation if you're doing one of the like penthouse suites. So you can completely bulldoze this and go wild. I did not. I kept the outside shape the same because I didn't want it to be too different, since it was part of a tower structure. And I know I would agree that's a little bit lazy, but I did make a few changes. So it's not like completely identical. Now, the two towers, both of the renovations are fairly identical. The brick that I used on the exterior is different for both, although that was accidental. And there are small changes to the interior, but like that patio area that I believe I think I do it last on this particular half. I don't know, it's somewhere in the middle. The exterior portion, there's like things for your Sims to do. That's identical on both, like dead on identical. I was looking at it while building the second one, so. And I did that for a reason. So when I went to university the first time, or we call it college, but when I went to college the first time, I went to, and I don't mind you knowing this because I'm not there anymore, but I went to the University of Kentucky. It's a pretty well-known school here. If you're into the college basketball scene at all, you've heard of UK Wildcats if you're in America. I'm not sure if they're internationally known, but it's a pretty big deal here. It's like a culture. Anyway, I lived in a dorm in a building that is no longer there, and it was called Blanding, and I'm not going to tell you exactly which one because that feels a little too personal. But it was this whole complex. I think it was Blanding and Kerwin, and there were two towers. One was Blanding, one was Kerwin, and then there were these low-lying structures that were also dorms that were around it, and it created this little like courtyard area, and there was stuff and things happening. I lived in one of the low-lying ones on the first floor. I was never in the towers. I never went in, but all of the buildings were identical and kind of ugly. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was not aesthetically pleasing, and they're no longer there, so it doesn't even matter. But I had such a fun time in the dorms, and if you've ever lived in a dorm, particularly an older one, it is stock furniture. It is not anything cute. Well, sometimes the more modern ones are cute, but it's not anything, totally unique and crazy. So I did lean pretty heavily on Discover University. The rooms are mostly the same. There are the same pieces of furniture in each one. I did kind of like zhuzh them up with some different color schemes and personality traits. What I'm imagining is the furniture comes wrapped and you can just kind of select what color you want from like your rooming catalog or something. And that's how that works. I don't really know how realistic that is, but that was that I had to make it work in my head. So that's what we're doing. I talked straight through the build of the hallway. There was a little tiny kitchenette that I'm sure you saw. I did change the elevator because the other one was just not happening. I gave this particular dorm a gym. They have yoga mats and I believe the weightlifting kit and some treadmill. We're working treadmills. I left the S off the word. We're working now on the skill building room. So there's the robotic station because we are at Foxbury and that's kind of a big part of their school. I gave them the candle making station here just because I like it personally. And I'm kind of decorating it up. I'm using those dine out. They look like seasoning canisters because to me they look like wax melt chip things. If that's fair to say, I don't know. I also gave them the soda stream making thing. I don't actually know what that's called, but that's how you make the soda. It came from Eco Lifestyle too. There's a music corner, a woodworking corner, and then 2 chess tables because I feel like logic is super important in Discovery University. I also decided to throw in a couple of painting easels and decorations because I think, well, at least when I've played, I know it's one of the optional courses, the electives, but I think if you are in any of the creative courses, you're going to have a painting skill as well. Then we move into, I would call this like a common space in general, but it's more like a living room. So there is a bookshelf and several bits of seating. I struggled with this room just because I didn't know what design style to go with because there's not really couches and things that came with Discovery University that fit the vibe that I had going on here. So I had to kind of make it up and I decided I wanted to use the chairs from Island Living that have like kind of that mesh square background. I don't like the couch. I cannot stand the couch. And I was like, well, get over it. We're going to try to make it work. And then I realized at some point that there's no reason for me to match that furniture at all. Like it would be feasible to have different chairs and a different couch. Like I don't really know what that thinking was, but I placed everything. And at first I was like channeling some Gryffindor common room vibes. And I'm like, there just needs to be seating everywhere so everyone can hang out. And then I quickly changed my mind. So I placed on this card table. This is the start of the change. I'm like, they need something fun that's not skill building necessarily. So I placed that down. There is a game console that we just placed here with the TV. And the TV is one of the large ones that I did have to size down by 1 just so it's not overwhelming. I decided to pull out the Industrial Loft Kit sofa because that leather and cream vibe was really fitting in with my design choices so far. And then I start to move all of this around. I don't keep the couch on the back wall. That's actually where the bookshelf is going to move to. And I believe I put the foosball table, yes, in this back corner. I don't know if that's accessible. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I did not play test this room like at all. I play tested the skill building room and the gym and the bedrooms, but I didn't play test everything else. Now, this is the start of the dorm rooms. You're going to see that the bathrooms have already been done. I decorated them the same. There's not a single one that is different. And this video is around 25 minutes, so I didn't feel like you needed to see 6 bathrooms that are identical be created. Like, it just didn't feel necessary. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully you understand. But this first room, some of the rooms are going to have identical color schemes and some of them don't. And I was really just trying to match wood tones. I'm going to be completely honest. So this first one, we have like this pink and blue with the green scheme. I think these two are random roommates. They don't know each other. They don't mesh at all. They're not going to be friends by the time the semester is over. They're just surviving. And sometimes that's just how it is. So we've got one that's a little bit more girly. She's probably into like anime and tech and things like that. And then we've got this other person who is a little bit more streamlined, into music. Not like, they're just opposites, but not in a bad way. They don't mix. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no conflict. There's just, sometimes you just don't mix with people. But yeah, we're finishing up the decorations in this room now. I tried to include some skill building items in the rooms as well, And unless you lock the rooms, you're not going to have access to all of them. But if you just leave them open, I mean, there are things to do everywhere. You literally never have to leave this lot if you don't want to. So this second room, I am thinking that these two are here on an athletic scholarship. I don't necessarily think they knew each other coming into it, but they're definitely teammates now, and they're probably pretty good friends at this point. If not, they're at least comfortable and used to each other. It does not matter at all what gender goes in what room. The bathroom doors that are split, because there's a bathroom for every 2 rooms. I think there's 1 dorm per building that has its own bathroom, but every bathroom is shared, but it's a split gender. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who is in whose. I am thinking that one of these is a creative type. The other one has flowers for some reason. I don't know. I tried to place like little things in the dresser area to kind of give you an idea of the personality. Hopefully that's helpful, but I also left room for customization. So if you want to remove things, add things, take like whatever, you can definitely do that. Now this one, I'm thinking these two are siblings. I'm not necessarily picturing twins, but maybe. They both happen to like pink. I think they're in the interior decorating type career. They're definitely into design of some sort. And I accidentally set this like layout in the other tower in a different color scheme, and it's really similar. I was struggling to get through that sentence for some reason. But it's a different storyline. But I was trying to change up the layout of the rooms because the furniture does look like it's movable. My dorm room furniture was not. That was locked into place. But that is that room, the pink room. And I happen to love that one. Would not live there. There's like a green and brown one that's the same layout as that one in the next tower over. And that one is the one that I would have chosen. And then this is the purple one. I also don't necessarily think that these two knew each other moving in. I feel like these two are returning sophomores. Maybe they're both in a music program of some sort and they decided to room together again. Or maybe they met in class and they decided to trade in their random roommates for each other. So they're not like besties, right? But they're not friends. I don't know if that makes sense. They get along well enough to live with one another, and they're into similar programs, similar things, so it makes sense. And again, I'm still trying to include some personalization. I'm not going overboard just because I want you to have room to do that on your own if you were to download this and play with it. And I also wanted to give you enough to kind of get a sense of who was going to be in what room, even though it's going to be random. I did think briefly about making the Sims that were going to go in these builds because I do have an idea of who they are and what they look like. But I decided in the end not to because that would just be a huge household for you to play. And I wouldn't want to do it personally. Now this room, it's another, I was just trying to match wood tones, but I did get kind of playful with alternating the blue and the yellow. I think these two are also random roommates. One chose yellow, one chose blue, and then they realized, hey, they kind of like when it's mixed up. I think these two are a couple of bros or bra girls if they're female, and like they just know. I think I did make one female now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, because, well, it could be either way because that's a bisexual flag. I don't know, but they're going to be the best of friends by the time that this school year is over. Like they got lucky, they're having a great time and all of that stuff. But I try to include that kind of representation because when you go to college and you're out on your own, that's really for a lot of people when you start to kind of find yourself. I'm not going to say experiment, but you kind of find yourself and your likes and your dislikes, and you know, you're branching out. So I tried to include that because I wanted it to be a welcoming space. Now we're moving on to the second tower. I didn't include the exterior on this one because it is identical. I'm not even joking. You'll see in the screenshots, it's the same. The hallway is pretty much the same too. I did leave it in because there are subtle differences, and I like seeing things like this come together. It was purely a selfish move on my behalf. But as you can see, there's lots of banners and things like that. So it's definitely a school, and I felt like that was reflective. I didn't see any bulletin boards that I thought looked realistic. Otherwise, I would have thrown a few of those in as well. By the way, I filled that water balloon bucket up with soccer balls, and that is my favorite detail I've ever included. So hopefully you guys saw that and appreciated it. If not, totally fine. It still gets me jazzed. This kitchenette does have a mini fridge. I didn't include one in the other dorm. So if you move into that one, you will have to include a fridge. It doesn't have to be in the hallway by the kitchenette. It can be in your room, you know, whichever dorm room you choose. The Sims will still show up and bring you random meals and stuff like that. So it's not like you're gonna starve. You know what I mean? That was the goal, at least. I decided this side probably focused a little bit more on school spirit and robotics rather than sports. The other one was pretty sports heavy. So as you can see, I'm just filling in the hallway with more posters and things like that. The hallways are not personalized. They're not meant to be. They are really meant to be kind of like an advertisement for the school, as most school housing is. And then this right here, we're working on the room that I would have chosen if I was given the opportunity to choose. I think these two are a couple of, in my head, they're forestry majors, but I don't think that's an option in The Sims 4. Maybe you can choose botany or something like that, like plant science. I don't know. But I think they're forestry majors, and they just happen to be assigned to the same room. They didn't know that they were the same major going in. I'm sure the university did. And so they're both into greens and dark browns, and they have plants everywhere. And I just really love this room. I think it's so pretty, and green is one of my favorite colors. It's not like the top tier, particularly not this shade, but I just like the dark tones of the wood. Do you know what I mean? Like, this room feels the most elegant to me, and that's just a personal opinion, but I do really like this space. Then we move on into the next dorm room. I saved the community spaces for last on this one just so it wasn't too repetitive, I guess. I don't know if that's fair to say. Now this room is also matching, and this one, to me, this is a blue. I've heard it's a mint green. I don't know. But I'm thinking this one is another set of best friends. Maybe they went to high school together. Maybe they grew up together, went to different high schools, and they decided to go to the same college. I don't know. But they are a couple of friends. I'm imagining two guys in this room, personally. That's just me. And I know that's kind of a feminine color, but like, no. But I do. I think one is into like computer sciences and stuff like that, and the other one is into photography, I believe. So yeah, the other one is into photography. I did include a guitar in this one as well. I think there's a guitar in several rooms. I feel like you can never have enough, and that's the only instrument in this game that doesn't make me want to cry. And not because, oh, it's so beautiful. It's because like the piano and the organ don't sound great. Unless you're using the massive piano, like the grand piano. That's the only thing. And getting your sim skill in violin up enough to the point where it doesn't hurt your teeth is it's a struggle and a grind, and I'm just not here for it. If I don't have to be here for it, I don't want to be here for it. Then we move on to this room. This one is just white wood tones, white furniture, but I really liked it. Okay, so you're gonna see it as it comes together, but this is a pink, white, and orange color scheme, and I am obsessed. I was so thrilled with the way that this room in particular turned out. I didn't expect it to come together as nicely as it did, but it did. I'm once again thinking these two are random roommates, but I think that they have such a similar taste, and they were both really thrilled that they chose the white furniture, and they just kind of played off of that. So one obviously leaning more towards pink, the other one leaning more towards orange. It kind of reminds me of that like straw candy. It kind of looked like a pixie stick, but it was like the off-brand. That's kind of what this room looks like. To me, that's such a random thing to say, but here we are. But yeah, I really liked this one. I love the way that it came together. It felt so just soft. That's really the only word I have for that one. Then we move on to this room. I don't really have a backstory or a thought for these two other than the one in the blue bed is into robotics. That's really all I know. And I probably could have put more thought into them, but I was kind of running out of steam at this point. And I'm like, I don't know. I just don't know. I couldn't even tell you now. We're going to discover together what the person in the green bed is into, because I don't remember a single decoration that I put down for this kid. Or sim. Art. Excellent. It's an art major. I couldn't remember. I'm like, I have no recollection. But I'm thinking the kid that's into robotics, I don't know why I'm saying kid, it would be an adult sim. I'm thinking that the sim that's into robotics is also into the military, so maybe he's thinking about going into like merging those two careers in some way. I have no idea how that would work in real life, so I'm not going to pretend to know in The Sims. I'm thinking that these two here are in like kind of like the spirit core of Foxbury. Like they're really into school spirit. They're really into making sure everybody feels included. Maybe these two are the RAs for this particular dorm building. Resident advisor, is that what the term is? I don't know. It's the person that, like, if someone gets sick in the middle of the night, that's who you go get. Like, hey, they just threw up, handle that. You know what I mean? If you don't know what I mean, then I'm thrilled for you, because that's not a fun experience. But yeah, I'm just trying to include a ton of different Foxbury type things. I'm using that blue because it's either the color of the robotics posters or it's the color of the Spirit Core posters. I can't remember now. I'd have to look it up, and I'm honestly a little too lazy to Google that while voiceovering. I'm just gonna call myself out. But I believe this is the last dorm that we're gonna do. Yes, so we're gonna jump immediately into the gym. They also have a gym. It is set up a little bit differently. These two have the punching bags, but they also have treadmills and a weightlifting station. It's similar, but not exactly the same. So I wanted it to be a little bit switched up. They are also going to have a common area, I still don't know what to call that, and a skill building room. So this one is geared a little bit more towards STEM. So we have these, one is the, I don't even know, I'm just going to call them chemistry stations because I don't remember which is which. They both build logic, I believe, the logic skill. So I included those. I include the DJ booth, but it actually goes in the living room. There are 2 chess tables again. I have the flower arranging station with an indoor growing pot thing, and this, I can't remember what that is called from Eco Lifestyle. It's the thing, the fabricator maybe. It's where you make something. I don't know if you'd actually use that in university, but I wanted to throw it in here. I have no other reason. That is the reason. I saw it, I liked it, I decided to use it. But I'm hanging up some posters that look like the periodic table of elements. There's like a hand washing station, but I forgot a sink, so that happened. That's embarrassing. But yeah, I'm thinking they're geared more towards science. That flower arranging station is a nod towards that green and brown room, who I'm thinking is into forestry. Then we're gonna head into the living room here and decorate this. Again, it's similar, it's not exactly the same. Instead of the foosball table, they have that DJ station, so maybe they're into dance. I don't know. But on this note, I'm going to leave you guys here. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. You can feel free to let me know by leaving a comment or a like down below. You can also subscribe if that's something that would spark joy for you. I'll be posting the screenshots on Instagram as per usual if you want to head over there and check those out. I will be posting my next video on Monday. And until then, I hope you have a lovely day and a lovely rest of your week. Bye, guys.
Wonder how this night will be. The apple does not fall far from the tree. She said I almost died a week ago. I lost my will, I thought I'd let you know. The countryside, the water, so I wait up here, I just let it you know. Wait along the corridor. Some would say they've seen me here before. Do we need to go this far? We do know who we are. Can we make this even better? Somewhere close about. Ooh, let's find out. I know I never felt this way. People change, but it feels like we stay the same. Every time you look at me? I'm heating up at least a third.